Thanksgiving celebrates the genocide of Indigenous people. As you happily eat your turkey, remember it's a day of mourning for many of us. Our children are still buried under churches. Our women are still missing. Our communities are suffering from addiction and poverty. The settlers were offered help, yet they turned a blind eye on our people. Mexico shares similar experiences to those lived by natives in the U.S. and Canada. What is there to be thankful on this day? Genocide, not us. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You know, I get asked quite a bit, as an ally, how can I help? What can I do? So I had to think on it, and here's my thoughts. Now, I'm not trying to call anyone out here. I'm simply trying to inspire and motivate thought. Imagine if hundreds of class action lawsuits were brought against the church and the government for their treatment of Native people by non-Native people. Imagine if there were 1,000 times more non-natives than natives at our protests and rallies. Imagine if non-natives only elected politicians who ran on platforms of solving native issues. Imagine if every politician in Canada received thousands of calls and emails every day from non-natives demanding justice for natives. Imagine if thousands of fundraisers and GoFundMes were started by non-natives to pay contractors and companies to solve the water crisis on our reserves. Imagine if there was a national social movement for all non-native families to learn proper history about Native people and a commitment to stop passing racism on to their children. Imagine if there were protests led by non-natives outside of every school board to demand that proper history is taught. Most of these things I just mentioned, we as Native people have tried, and mostly it's failed, fallen on deaf ears, and we've been vilified. Non-Native people, you have a much bigger voice than we do. So now, I have a question for you. If you are comfortable with only doing things like land acknowledgements, if you are comfortable with only liking videos on TikTok, if you are comfortable with being the only person who's doing something, but everybody around you, including your neighbors, is doing nothing, then can you really call yourself an ally?
Tell us more, please. I'd be so happy to. The joke that I made earlier was about how jealous I get when I read about different Indigenous cultures that think women are sacred, because white societies don't treat women as sacred people. We're just people. And it's really weird decolonizing as a white person, because the goal is to learn all of these different values from around the world and learn how to value people and women and the natural environment without trying to be something that I'm not. So it involves a lot of reading about other cultures and then never trying to imitate them. So it's really weird trying to figure out how to fit these ideas into my life. There's not really a role model that I've seen yet who's a white American person who's trying to figure out how to live this way without being anything other than what they naturally are, which is a white person. So the best example is the only vegetarian at a barbecue, you know?
Okay, ready? All right. Okay.
Muchos me preguntan como persona de descendencia chichimeca, ¿por qué tanto resentimiento contra España si la tortura, la violación y la asimilación de los pueblos originarios de las Américas ya ha terminado? Mi respuesta, esta. Vox, partido político ultraderecha originario de España, tuiteó el 13 de agosto, una fecha importante para nosotros los pueblos indígenas, lo siguiente. Tal día como hoy, de hace 500 años, una tropa de españoles encabezados por Hernán Cortés y aliados nativos consiguieron la rendición de Tenochtitlán. España logró liberar a millones de personas del régimen sanguinario y de terror de los aztecas, orgullosos de nuestra historia. Y por eso estoy aquí al día de hoy, para agradecerle a España por haber colonizado las Américas, por haber introducido el catolicismo y convertirnos en uno de los sobrevivientes de una de las masacres más grandes en la historia mundial. De corazón, gracias España. Gracias por haber introducido la varicela, la viruela, el sarampión, la difteria, la peste bubónica, la fiebre amarilla, entre otras enfermedades. Espera. Aparte de eso, el clasicismo, la corrupción, el colorismo, la transfobia, el catolicismo, la homofobia, la privatización de tierras indígenas y el despojo y abuso de recursos naturales. No tenemos nada que agradecerte, España. Al contrario, hermanos, desde el norte al sur, que los 500 años de resistencia continúen y que la vida de nuestros ancestros no se hayan ido en pena. Senka Tlatzcomati por haberme escuchado, hermanos. Que la resistencia de nuestros pueblos continúe. Buenas vibras para todos. Nos vemos hasta luego, hermanos.
Her eyes are blue, yours are brown. Hers represents the ocean, yours represents the ground. You've always hated your eyes and wished that they were blue, but your eyes have a tint of gold so rare it must not be true. So yes, her eyes are blue, and yes, your eyes are brown, but your eyes hold the riches that are buried in the ground. Her eyes carry storms and rage like the sea. Your eyes carry earthquakes that bring mountains to their knees. Maybe her eyes are blue, but your eyes reign queen because they hold the purest riches the world has ever seen.
I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter, I will not cut my hair.
Did you know that Native Americans had more than 1 to 2 genders, not even 3, but 5? We acknowledged female, male, two-spirited male, two-spirited female, and transgender. And each tribe had their own unique name to them that meant something different. There were some ceremonies held for people in their transitions. For those who were two-spirited were known to be very lucky to understand the male and the female. And it wasn't looked down upon for who you loved. And this was looked more spiritually than in gender. And it's been around as long as we can remember. And it was considered a very special gift. And for further history, make sure to check out Wiwa. Share and follow to know more about me and our culture.
When the European first came here, Columbus, we could drink out of any river. If the Europeans had lived the Indian way when they came, we'd still be drinking out of water because the water is sacred. The air is sacred. Our DNA is made of the same DNA as the tree. The tree breathes what we exhale. When the tree exhales, we need what the tree exhales. So we have a common destiny with the tree. We are all from the earth. And when the earth, the water, the atmosphere is corrupted, then it will create its own reaction. Mother is reacting. In the Hopi prophecy, they say the storms and floods will become greater.
This is one of the darkest things I've ever read in history, and it's about Columbus meeting the natives. In his letters, he writes, "They are very simple and honest and exceedingly liberal with all they have, none of them refusing anything he may possess when he is asked for it. They exhibit great love towards all others in preference to themselves." He says, "They are the best people in the world and above all the gentlest, without knowledge of what is evil. nor do they murder or steal. They love their neighbors as themselves, and they have the sweetest talk in the world, always laughing. After saying all that, he then writes, they would make fine servants.